unsettle Dimitrov here in front. I guess it's the easier option than to actually make a move, or at least try to unsettle someone. Maybe you won't need to make a risky overtaking. Now on to the high banks of Daytona. You're pretty much using all of the high bank, all of the oval circuit here at Daytona International Speedway, one of the only road courses in the world to actually use the full banking. And you can try the outside, you can try the inside, but to the outside comes Jan Nims. He will try it into the bus stop chicane, the Le Mans chicane, as it is called now. To the outside, can he try and outbrake someone? That's not the place you want to make a move around the outside.
There should be a car stationary, because, well, maybe not stationary, but Adam Cassoni is losing places. Yep, it was off track. I was keeping an eye on the results in the DPi class, and Adam Cassoni was battling for P2, and now he dropped down to P17 overall. Make it P16 already, overtaking those GT3 cars. So while we were looking at that intense battle between two GT3s, we had a more intense battle between the DPIs. We have three cars running down those banked oval sections of the track into turn one. Yuri Labois couldn't
Kashoni down into the pits. So Kashoni elects to pit early. He has a lot of damage then, I guess, because he is down onto pit road. You're also looking... Yep, he's just stopped, so probably a repair of his car, but that means that Alvarez had contact with him, or at least we think it should be Alvarez, because Alvarez went down from second down to fourth position, and it looks like he's... I think he was in third, now I think he's lost another place. So maybe some damage. Let's see if he can keep up with the car of Simon Speff right in front of him.
Alvarez has 0 incident points, so maybe it was not the car, maybe he was involved in some sort of action. Adam Cassoni has 2 incident points, so there was definitely a contact. Oh, and there's Simon Speff, I think, just going straight through the bus stop chicane, and that's definitely should be a slowdown penalty. We have a live steward working this evening, looking at the drivers and all those different action happening on the track, but well, going straight through the bus stop chicane, I think the system, the software itself, should give some sort of a penalty, doesn't it?
I'm not sure, but I don't think he's gonna need the penalty, because Alvarez is trying to make the move around the outside, and outside of turn one. That's a difficult move to make, but then you're on the inside. If you can just about make it, you're on the inside for the International Horseshoe. This is going to be moved on if he doesn't lock up here. Get on the anchors, on the apex, and then you're through cleanly. I think Simon Speff will not try and make a move back into the Western Horseshoe. He kind of had to give that place up there. He didn't do it too quickly, and maybe the stewards will have a look at that. But as it stands, it is Alvarez in P3, and well, he's not going to be dropped from P3. It's only Simon Speff that risks a penalty for that track cut, but I do believe he lost some time there. Now Alvarez's eyes on Aron Dennis Butzwiller, who does hold the fastest lap of the race, 1:36.306, and he is in P2 in that class. Started all the way down in P6. He was one of those drivers that we saw going 3 wide there. This is Rio, and he is the last car on track.
He is in the way for the leaders. He's already 1 lap down, and it looks like he kind of came in the way for Alvarez, and he has to go defensive against Simon Speff. So running 3 wide down those banked turns of the racetrack, Alvarez has to be defensive because of that lapped car. Small chance for Simon Speff. Suddenly, both of the drivers lost a little bit of time in the battle for P2. Alvarez manages to keep in front. Rayui, I'm not sure how you spell that name, went off the racetrack in turn number 1.
Jan was back into the lead of the GT3 class. He just did it this lap. Already 1.2 seconds and he holds the lead ahead of Dimitrov, so just made that move a moment ago, but well, he's already managing to make a huge gap. Obviously 6/10 on by 6/10 on pole he was. Adam Cassoni back on track. He is almost 70 seconds down on your race leader. That's quite a big gap, and I don't think he's going to make that back because of the nature of the DPi, where you've only got around 35 to 33 minutes in the fuel tank. You're going to be struggling to make 53 minutes, definitely.
It's impossible.
So you'll have to pit again, and that's a big, big loss. So if you're in the GT3s, well, you can be a little bit more aggressive on lap 1, because you know if you have to make a stop, well, at least that counts towards your mandatory pit stop. Adam Kashoni coming up to actually pass someone for position. And this will probably be the only time in this race that we're looking at a DPi making moves for position against GT3s. But Danius Butvila, he's actually closing in on Gustas Malakauskas, so very interesting that he is able to keep up with the pole sitter last time round, just a little bit slower, but he was very, very close. That means maybe that Gustas Malakauskas in P1 is not as comfortable as he would want to be. Alvarez, well, he's lapping quicker than P2, slower than P1. If he can keep that pace up, he should be, well, at least a contender for the win. Simon Speff dropping pace now, so we'll see how these battles actually play out. And once they actually get to traffic, looks like there's the first little bit of traffic that they've got in front of them. One of the GT3s that should be the number 20, I believe. No, it should be Jim Top in the number 21 Ferrari that they're getting past. Gustas Malakauskas makes the moves before the Le Mans chicane, so this will be a big, big holdup for Danius Butvila, who's lost quite a lot of time this lap already, so maybe just overworking the tires.
On the exit of the bus stop chicane. That was a nice move by Danius Butvila. He's on fire. Well, actually, he lost like 8/10, I believe, even though it did look quite easy. But what I'm looking at Danius Butvila's situation, he's, well, kind of sticking with Gustas Malakauskas in this stage, but he has soft rubber on his DPi, so I'm not sure how the longevity of these tires will work out in the favor of Danius Butvila. Well, I would say
he's losing time already.
Yeah, he's losing time. Well, he lost a bit of time while trying to pass that Ferrari. You can see Alvarez gaining on him quite drastically, but yeah, Danius Butvila has to be really tiptoeing around the Daytona International Raceway, which is by itself kind of a difficult racetrack. Those corners, there's not a lot of corners, but most of the corners are quite rounded, if you can say so, and you have to be really cautious what you're doing with your right foot. You cannot get on the accelerator too drastically. You have to kind of feather your foot, and that's more important if you're running on soft tires only 10 minutes into the race. So Danius Butvila has to be really careful, and well, seeing Alvarez gaining on him, and not only Alvarez, actually Simon Speff is also kind of getting closer to Danius Butvila. That should bring a little bit of intensive racing for Danius right now, and that might force him into some small mistakes, which might eat up the tires a little bit faster.
Well, he's already losing time, and we're only 10 minutes in. That is fastest lap of the race coming from Malakauskas, and he extends his lead over the rest of the field. But Alvarez, he just cut down half a second to Butvila, so Butvila took the gamble, and obviously it's not even close to paying off, because he's driving very, very, well, not very slowly, but definitely not up to the speed that he'd want to be, because you got Alvarez and Speff behind, who are quicker. And Speff as well has stabilized his pace for 56.1 last time round. It is a pretty decent lap time. You're looking at the battle for P2 here. This is Dimitrov and Polonio in the AMG and the Huracan. Dimitrov leaves the gap on the inside, Polonio to the outside. He's trying to make a move around the outside and down into turn 1. And coming off the speedway, it is a big bump there as you come off the speedway. At the speedway turn, and you come into turn 1 and onto the road course, trying to stay behind and maybe making a move into the international horseshoe. Waits a little bit and has to wait. Now I guess your best chance is either making a big lunge into the western horseshoe, or you're going to be waiting for that long back straight. Well, you can call it the back straight, but it's actually speedway 1 and 2 that you're taking. It looks like Polonio's connection is a little bit broken because it almost looks like he went off track. Simon's best, by the way, 5.5 seconds ahead of these guys. And we're just 12 minutes in. Remember that he was stuck in P2 for a while. This is pretty impressive.
You meant Jan Nims. Yeah.
Yes, Jan Nims. Jan Nims making big moves there. Adam Kashoni, by the way, he hasn't lost that much time to the leaders, especially concerning how, especially taking into account that he had to make moves through the GT field. Polonio.
Running a little bit too tight into the bus stop chicane, so he will definitely lose quite a lot of time in this situation. But to my unexpectedly, Dainius Butvila has just set the fastest lap time of the race with a lap time of 1 minute 35.9. So it looks like the gamble might not look that bad at this moment if he's still able to get some nice lap times out of that rubber. 13 minutes into the race, well, he still has a long way to go on these tires, but it looks like they still work if Dainius Butvila manages to keep himself together, not looking too much into his rear view mirrors or the telemetry data that he has. He might concentrate on what's happening forwards. Gustas Malakauskas being just really consistent, and there's another lap time of 1 minute 36.1. Now the lap times of Alvarez and Speth are within the 1 minute and 35 seconds zone. They are not the fastest lap times of the race, but it looks like the guys on medium tire have a little bit more consistency throughout the laps, while Dainius Butvila, well, it looks like he's able to put in a fast lap, but then he's putting a slightly slower one just to try and take care of those tires. So by the looks of it right now, it looks like that the race of Dainius Butvila is going to be a really tough one. He's still running P2, only 3.5 seconds behind the leader of the race. Has a little bit less than 1 second advantage against Alvarez, but still, well, he has the chance.
He's actually struggling with tire wear. More looks like tire temperature.
Yeah.
It looks like he's slowed down, and he's doing that again. He slows down. He's able to go fast again. But if he is struggling with tire temperature, that's not a good look 15 minutes into the race, because he needs to then drop the pace. By the way, Adam Kashoni up into P9, and that means he's finally gotten past the GT field, and he can start to push and maybe catch someone. Car ahead of him, 45 seconds. Well, still some time. He'll have to be very quick to do that. Gustas Malakauskas again, 36.1, 36.7 by Dainius Butvila. Again, probably conserving, at least our theory, that the tire heat. And Alvarez, 35.974, fastest lap of the race. So the mediums are able to put in those fast laps lap by lap. Softs can only match them.
We jumped into the GT3 class. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gustas, but Polonio was battling for P2, and I think he made a big mistake. He went off the track and had a crash. You can see his car is pretty badly damaged, and he's going slow. So I would say he'll dive into the pit lane right now. Well, with these GT3 cars, they can easily fix the car, put a little bit of fuel into the tank, and safely finish the race with 44 minutes of it remaining. So that might be a strategy change for Polonio because of that contact he just had, and we have leaders overtaking this Lamborghini GT3 car. Just stick with it for a little bit. You can see Butvila, Alvarez and Speth running one behind each other with a 1.5 seconds gap. There's another Mercedes which is running slower, I think, in the way of those leaders, but I would like to stick with Polonio and see what he decides to do. The car doesn't seem fine. Is he thinking?
Very slow. Yes, down into pit road. No questions asked there, really. So from P3 in class down into, well, last, or at least close to last. But obviously, as we spoke earlier, the GT3s can make it on one stop only. Well, they could make it on a 0 stop, but they do have to stop because of the rules. So that does mean that he has a chance of maybe recovering something, depending on how much damage repair he's going to have to do. But Daniel Butvila under big pressure now from Alvarez. 0.4 of a second through the kink they went, just managing to split themselves between the GT3 acting as a sandwich, as the filling in the sandwich. But now it's Simon Speth's turn to attack, but I think he's just going to wait out a little bit.
Those lockups by Dainus Butvila, they are not doing good to those tires, and I think you were right while talking about the problem of the tires. Is it a connection issue? Maybe it is. Well, Simon Speth is on the move, but talking about Dainus Butvila, I think he has a problem with the overheating of the tires. And Alvarez, did he made a mistake? Well, he didn't fight Simon Speth at all. He doesn't want to waste any time battling for P3. He wants to gain on Dainus Butvila, who is struggling on the compound with the temperatures, and Alvarez, I think he made a good decision, but he's going still slow, already 7 tenths down to
He just had a very bad entry, but keep in mind that the DPIs actually have to refuel. It's not like the GT3s where I think it's just going to be 1 liter and go back out. But the DPIs actually have to refuel, so if you're able to sit behind someone and, getting sandwiched again, but if you're able to stay behind someone and save quite a lot of fuel, well, you might just be in with a shot of overtaking someone in the pits. You don't have to do it on track, it's much easier, but getting very close. Wow, Simon Speth has really cut that gap down quickly. And he's gapped Alvarez as well, so Simon Speth maybe was a little bit stuck and being held back, or he was saving fuel himself. But he'll try to make the move now. Gustas Malkauskas, by the way, last time round, fastest lap of the race again. So he's looking pretty comfortable out there in the lead. But again, he's going to be, well, he's going to be consuming a lot of fuel out in front of the field. To the outside comes Simon Speth. He's going to try and make the move into the Le Mans chicane side by side. That's not going to fit. No way that works. And Alvarez, he was maybe a little bit too close this time because he wasn't able to make a move on the exit of the Le Mans chicane. So now we're back to status quo and we're back to 1.2 seconds. This is going to give some breathing room to Dainus Butvila, and he might just be able to turn those soft tires back on, or at least cool them down. But now it should actually come to a point where they actually start to wear out. But let's see what happens once Dainus Butvila mounts the medium tires on his car.
Maybe he'll stay on the soft tire. It looks like, well, he's struggling a bit. He's having some difficulties, but he's still staying ahead of those 2 faster cars. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. To change that tire. Maybe he's not. He will not feel comfortable on that medium, so I'm eager to wait and see what he will put on his DPi during the pit stop. In the meantime, these 3 DPIs are gaining on our GT3 class leader Jan Nims. Oh, Dainus Butvila making a huge mistake, and there's your tire problem, and I think he just overshot that corner.
He's not staying on the mediums. He's not staying on the soft. I don't see that happening. They've already, well, the leader has gone past Jan Nims. Now it's going to be down to the rest of the field to get past him, trying to box Danius Woodvilla in.
Oh!
Very, very wide and cuts across the track. Both of them, actually. But Alvarez even more, so he loses even more time, and he's now with Jan Nims, almost taking Jan Nims out of the race, who is, by the way, 13 seconds up in front of.
It looks like Jan Nims was not particularly happy on what's happened in front of him. He was flashing with his headlights while he's the race leader, and sometimes you have these situations where the different class cars help each other in the bad way. So luckily, well, the situation ended without any contacts or bad results. Jan Nims was definitely being really, really careful, and he almost went on the brakes earlier just to let those 3 battling DPIs through. And then he still had to take some avoided action to try and stay in the lead of the GT3 class. So,
you should actually be thanking them for waking him up. I think he's going to fall asleep at some point. It's not that hard to do on the very long speedway section that we run here.
Possible. He lost 2 seconds, by the way, on the previous lap time to Dmitriev.
Well, he had to jump on the brakes, obviously.
Yeah, so that cost him quite a lot of time.
And
well, it looks like Danius Woodvilla is really struggling. Simon Speth got through 1 lap ago, and he's already 2.3 seconds ahead of Danius Woodvilla. Alvarez lost quite a lot of time compared to Danius, and he's still gaining. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm pretty sure Danius Woodvilla will put on the medium rubber on that DPi, and that should happen. Shortly, because we are already almost, well, still not halfway through, but we are getting closer to that moment where we will see those pit stops taking place. I'm not talking about different classes and our back markers or those unlucky
made
ones.
Another mistake to the outside as Alvarez now. Woodvilla really, really struggling. By the way, I think Gustas Malakauskas is really loving this because he's 7 seconds in front of P2, and I wouldn't say he didn't have the pace. He was quick, but he wasn't that quick. I mean, they're running the exact same lap time, pretty much, P1 and P2. Very wide again from Danius Woodvilla. He's hoping for that pit window to open as soon as possible. And he's hoping that he's able to throw these soft tires straight into the bin because they're not working for him.
I'd say we have 2 laps until we see Danius Woodvilla going into the pit lane. So he has to decide what he needs to do because, well, while battling Alvarez, he's definitely losing more time, and he needs to calm down and, well, into the bus stop chicane side by side. Danius Woodvilla on the inside has to take that tighter line. He should have a bad exit out of this corner, so that should allow Alvarez to gain back right on the tail of Danius. Well, actually, Danius managed to control this beautifully, but look at how much time both of these cars are losing now to Simon Speth and Gustas Malakauskas, and, well, strategically it's not working nice. Simon Speth putting the fastest lap time of the race so far, 1:35.5, while Alvarez
That's
trying...
very quick.
Oh,
That's very, very quick. By half a second.
Yep, and these two guys battling each other, well, they just losing time. Well, of course, Danius Woodvilla needs and hopes to keep that on-track position, but what they are doing now, they just wasting time and putting into the bin because Leo Bryan is gaining on these 2 drivers battling who are already 6 seconds behind Simon Speth, and that's not working out nicely for Alvarez, who was quick. And he was definitely thinking about the win in this race, but, well, he got stuck, and after those couple of mistakes that he made while battling his rivals, they don't play to the hands of Alvarez. So he needs to stay focused, he needs to rethink what he's doing, or maybe he just needs to try and stay out on the racetrack for 1 lap longer than his main rival, Danius Woodvilla. Yet again, side by side into the bus stop chicane. Danius Woodvilla trying to get a slipstream of that GT3 car, almost running into the back.
Just gonna make it. I think Alvarez made it. He's gonna now struggle down the straight again, but now it's gonna be Butvila on the outside. Unless Butvila can fully make the move, but I don't think he can. Or maybe he does have that overspeed. Looks like there's some connection issue there, so the car is moving forward and backward a little bit, but it doesn't look like he'll have that overspeed to actually make the full move stick. And to the outside, Butvila will be. I don't think he's going to be able to outbrake Alvarez. No, so Alvarez now takes
there's Butvila making a mistake. Will he hold it?
And
no.
he spins.
No, he didn't hold it on the track, and that's your consequences of these hard battles. Now he's down to P5 out of P2 and actually losing quite a lot of time, 8 seconds behind Leo Bryan. So there's your consequences of these battles, and I think he had to be a little bit more strategic, and he should have known that he's on the wrong tire actually, and well, he lost a lot of time and overheated his tires, and I'm pretty sure he will dive into the pit lane by the end of this lap.
Well, he shouldn't. He's got Noyus Sabas as well behind. He's the only other soft runner. 39.5 last time round, so another soft runner struggling with his tires. So softs, well, the wrong option, at least here at Daytona they are. It looks like that tire wear a little bit too high, and the medium is that preferred tire of choice. I think Linus Butvila will be difficult. 9 seconds that he'll have to catch once he's on equal tires with everyone. Pretty big task to do that.
I'm not sure if it's doable. I think there was the third corner was the decision for Linus Butvila race. He made that mistake actually on his own, and he still stays on the race. Oh no, he's diving into the pit lane. So we're right, the tire is trash. It is gone, and he's one of the first into the pit stop out of the DPi class.
The first scheduled pit stop in the DPIs.
It is, and I think our race leader and all the remaining cars will enter the pit lane by the end of this lap. Malakauskas can be really happy, 1 minute 35.8, so previous lap was his personal fastest lap time. And it looks like the medium tire is the most suited tire for this race in the DPi class. Of course, we had a lot of battles and a lot of intensive moments on the racetrack in the DPi class. So we totally forgot and didn't give attention for our GT3 guys. Not a lot of happening on track right now in this class, except for these two Mercedes-Benz. Benediktas Urbanas gaining on Marijuana, and what happened to Noyus Sabas? He's shown as a disconnection. Matas Mendelis. What happened to Matas Mendelis? Is it a team race? Oh, yep. No. Well, Noyus Sabas has swapped places with Matas Mendelis.
No.
No? Okay, oh no, it's not right. Yeah, okay. I'm just making things out. Noyus Sabas disconnected, and actually I didn't see Matas Mendelis running in this race. So wow, Matas Mendelis at the back of the pack, right from
he's
the
in the
beginning.
Just came into the pits, but yeah, he did look like he was kind of struggling and not really in any battle the whole race, so we didn't see much of him. This is the closest that we've got on track, I believe, for non-overall position, because Ryui is just going to make the move on some GT3s further down the field, but this is Urbanas and Marijuana, and this is for P3.
It is.
In the GT3s.
For the final step of the podium in the GT3 class, and this is the only hot place in that slower class this evening. Until now, well, it's a sprint race with the taste of endurance racing. 1 hour race with 1 mandatory pit stop, and we have a multi-class situation. You can see Linus Butvila gaining on and coming through quickly, trying to use that slipstream. I'm not sure if that will help a lot. Maybe a little bit. Linus Butvila is currently down in P7, and he's well, not the only DPi who has made a pit stop already, but one of the few DPis. One of them is Adam Kajoni, but he made that pit stop early in the session, and I'm pretty sure he will have to enter the pit lane again in, well, roughly a couple of minutes, because, well, it was the second lap, I think, when Adam Kajoni went into that pit lane. So he should be taking another pit stop roughly at the same time as his rivals. Nikita Surbanas trying to chase down Marijuan, but, well, the gap stays still at this moment, and it doesn't seem to change a lot. So both of these Mercedes run similarly. The setup of the tires in this the setup of the cars in this championship is open, meaning that even though the drivers have the same car in their hands, they might be set up differently, and they might act differently in different stages of the race. So maybe one driver likes it to be a little bit pointy at the beginning of the race and then go a little bit natural or less balanced towards the end, and the others might have it different. So even though these cars are similar or identical, they are they might be set up differently.
I think it also, well, at Daytona, you're not really going to have a car that's set up too different. Kind of aiming for that straight line speed and hoping it somehow sticks on the infield. This is Adam Kashoni on Leo Bryan. Well, Adam Kashoni has been quick. Simon Speff already making his pit stop quite early. I keep getting these two confused, but Nim's already making his stop, so that's very, very early from him.
But it was a fast one. I think Jan Nims just took 1 liter of fuel and he's out already. Maybe I missed his whole pit stop, but for me it seemed quite fast. Maybe, well, the GT3 guys have the option to just stop, put in 1 liter of fuel into the tank. That's the rules for the one mandatory pit stop, and they can, well, exit the pit lane, because I'm pretty sure it's doable. Well, those medium tires, can they last? They can last 1 full hour around Daytona, even if they were 2 times faster. But I'm pretty sure the GT3 are comfortable on a double stint on normal conditions with 100% of tire wear. So maybe it was that Jan Nimtz took only 1 liter of fuel and is back on track.
I think he can just manage those tires all the way to the end. He's not really pushing too hard.
Our leaders in the DPi class have still not pitted. Well, up until this moment, Gustas Malakauskas went straight into the pit lane, so does Simon Speff, and I'm pretty sure Alvarez will take that turn. But, well, that shows that these DPIs managed to stay out on the racetrack for, what, 34 minutes? And I think that's the most that these cars are capable of doing. Danius Butzel definitely on the medium compound, but well, he just put his personal fastest lap time in, and there's your lesson learned. I'm pretty sure he will not be happy that he started on soft. Maybe it was a strategic move. Maybe he forgot to change the compound of the tire after the qualifying session. Is it a possibility?
I think it's more likely that he tried it in practice, it worked, but now in the race, maybe the conditions are just a little bit different. Maybe he just had to push a little bit more, and well, that's how you eat up your tires. And it shows that the mediums were not, the softs were not the correct option, but Noyo Saba stayed on the soft. So I guess it worked for him. So probably, well, my guess is that if you're pushing a little bit less hard, you're not getting those peak tire temps. Adam Kashoni out on track here. He had Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez is back on the track right in front of Kashoni and behind Leo Bryan. So look, the earlier pit stop by Leo Bryan did help him. and he gained that position. I'm not sure. Well, what's the cause of it?
A lot of time.
Oh, maybe that's maybe Alvarez made a mistake. Maybe O'Brien took a little bit less time in the pit lane. But anyways, no matter how it went, O'Brien is now up into P3, and look at the gap between Malakauskas and Speth is only 4 seconds. I think it was like what, 7 or 8 seconds before the pit stops. Now it's halfway. Half less than it was before, and suddenly our leaders have to put a little bit more concentration into what they are doing, because they have the chance to change the positions that they are running at right now. And what about Adam Casoni? I think he should be entering the pit lane quite shortly. And while it looks like
this lap or one more, maybe.
Yeah, he's going in. And sadly,
unfortunate for him, because it looked like he was doing quite well, staying up with the pack. But yeah, you have to make another pit stop. Those DPIs will just not make it that far.
What about the battle for P3? Well, virtually for P3 in the GT3 class. Urbanas is getting closer, but I think it's a little bit too slow while gaining on Marijuan. Jan Nims is gaining quite drastically. He's already only 4 seconds behind these drivers. I think he was something like 7.5 after he exited the pit lane. But what about the strategy of the GT3s? If Jan Nims was able to get in the pit lane and just add that 1 liter of fuel into that car, that means that these GT3s can run practically to the very end of this race and maybe go into the pit lane by the very last lap. I'm eager to see and wait how the strategy of the GT3s will be different. Isn't that our race leader? I think it was Gustas Malakauskas. Yes, indeed, that was Gustas Malakauskas who gained on Urbanas. Oh yeah, it is no Sabas. Okay, so I think they are running similar livery. Yes, indeed they are. So that's why I have confused both of them. So good for our race leader. He didn't lose a lot of time in this situation, but
I think for Urbanas or Marijuana, well, I would say for Urbanas, Marijuana is quite safe here. If I was Urbanas, I'd try to make something.
Yeah, look, who has joined this party? That's Jan Nims, our...
I wouldn't pit now then. I would try to stay behind Jan Nims. I was going to suggest for Urbanas to dive into the pits. By the way, Dimitrov made his pit stop as well, so this is actually for quote-unquote race lead.
Of course, virtually only, but Jan Nims has to make those moves on the racetrack, even though his rivals will have to enter the pit lane. But well, if you want that position, if you're Jan Nims, you have to make those moves, and it doesn't look too difficult. While we are driving with Jan, he's already 7/10 behind Marijuana and 1.2 seconds ahead of Benediktas Urbanas. Just look at the difference. All three cars are Mercedes, and Marijuana decides to not stay out on the racetrack, and he's diving into the pit lane. So Benediktas Urbanas will snatch that second place for at least one full lap as he remains. And maybe he hears.
Big drift. And it's Finn. That's it. Well, that's gonna be difficult to catch up now. But for Urbanas, it was a chance actually to run away and try and get that position by doing the overcut. But, well, that's not going to work now. He's lost a lot of time.
Looks like something around 8 seconds was lost because he was 1.2 seconds behind Jan Nims while he entered that drift. But, well, that ended not nicely. And now he's almost 10 seconds behind Jan Nims, so that's... well, definitely quite game changer for Benediktas, and well, he was running 4th, battling for P3, and now I'm not sure which position will Benediktas Urbanas end up when he'll exit the pit lane after he'll make his mandatory pit stop.
Well, if you remember, we were saying different class, but we were saying, and it looked like Malakauskas was quite safe. Well, Simon Speff, and I know it's Simon Speff now for sure, he's making moves, and he's cut down another 3/10. Gap now down to 4.5 seconds. Before the pit stop, it was 7.5 seconds. So it is a gap that's coming down for the lead. How quickly it will come down, it's all down to Malakauskas and Speff. But there might just be a tiny little chance of a battle for the lead in the final few laps.
Of course, and you have to take those different classes into consideration. Of course, we don't have a lot of cars on the racetrack right now, but still there's traffic, and sometimes you can get unlucky while lapping those slower cars. So Simon Speff has to be cautious, has to be fully concentrated, and you never know. Well, the gap was down to 4.1 seconds, and it looks like Malakauskas is managing the pace a little bit more nicely, and maybe this has to do with that traffic, and sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky. But on the previous lap time, Malakauskas took that 3/10 away, but right now it looks like Malakauskas is losing badly because the gap is dropping to 4.2, 4.4 seconds. He's in traffic. Maybe he was in bigger traffic. Those numbers are changing
but that was
fastly.
35.6 last time round.
It was.
If he was in traffic, that would have been.
No, this one is slab. Yeah, this one is slow because it went down from 4.7 to 4.2, and he's still going through the traffic. But if that was because of the traffic, Simon Speff will have very similar thing to do, and he might lose similar time. But as mentioned before, well, this is multi-class car racing, and sometimes you can get a little bit luckier with the traffic and not lose much time. Gustav Malakauskas should cross the line about now, 1 minute 36.0, so not a bad lap time, but Simon Speff has put in his personal fastest lap time of the race so far, 1 minute 35.4, so it wasn't the traffic, it was basically Simon Speff doing good laps. Well, it was a little bit of traffic, of course. Simon Speff has to overtake our GT3 class leader Jan Nims, no problems with that whatsoever. Then there's the Ferrari, the red Ferrari, which is already a couple of laps down, no troubles there also. The gap is back to 4.1 seconds, which it was after the pit stops. 16 minutes of race remaining, so still a little chance for something to change out in front, and Simon Speff is on fire. He's looking confident, and he is looking concentrated, trying to avoid those mistakes, and he's on a mission to gain on Gustav Malakauskas, the driver who was leading this race almost from start to finish. But it looks like Gustav Malakauskas is doing a really decent job. What about the battle for P3? So Lee O'Brien with, I don't know, his different strategy.
I was about to say something, because he was super quiet in stint 1. We didn't see him pretty much at all. And now he's actually made a gap to Alvarez, who, well, he was the pole sitter for the race, so he isn't slow by any means, but doing a good job. Yes, the gap is kind of fluctuating, but he's not comfortable there, but at least he's made a gap. So Lee O'Brien has found something mid-race here, and he's really using it to kind of keep Alvarez at least an arm's length.
Well, Alvarez gaining again on Lee O'Brien, so this battle is definitely not over, and this one's a little bit tighter than the one we have for the lead of our race. Gustav Malakauskas is doing a phenomenal job, and I'm really surprised at how consistent Gustav Malakauskas has been throughout of this race, and that's basically what you need to be, or how you need to be during races if you want to be successful. You don't have to be the fastest car by any means, but you have to be consistent, and now Lee O'Brien runs a little bit wide, and that might have been a chance for Alvarez. He was a little bit too far behind. We have Jan Nims mixed into this battle. Jan Nims, of course, being really careful and giving plenty of room for both of these drivers. I think that played out a little bit into the hands of Leo Bryan because Alvarez was a little bit closer. But still, using that slipstream, we will see a overtake attempt into the bus-stop chicane, which is already a common situation
that's gonna happen,
this evening.
By the way, I didn't like that you said that Gustav Malakauskas doesn't need to be the fastest on track, because he does hold the fastest lap of the race. He only drives it into the 1 minute 35.3, so, well, he is the fastest, or at least over a lap, and, well, it looks like he's the most consistent. He's consistently lapping in the 35.9 to 36.0 range, while Simon Speff has been going up and down 36.0 to 35.5, but to the outside comes Alvarez and just about makes the move. I haven't seen anyone actually outbrake someone into turn 1 around the outside, but now it's going to be Leo Bryan who's going to try and come back at him. Taking a tight line is Alvarez. O'Brien trying to get the exit there. He's going to have to wait for the long long straight down through Speedway 1 and Speedway 2. That's going to be his chance to make a move. Oh, big lockup. That's, well, move gone. And a second lap in a row he's made that lockup. To be honest, I'm not surprised he's in P4. That's where he was pace-wise all the way up until that point. Linus Butula, by the way, really struggling on the medium tires. I think he practiced a lot on the softs. And it just
well, he put in his personal fastest lap time on that medium compound, but it doesn't seem that it brings that consistency into the driving, into the lap times of Linus Butula with that medium tires as Gustav Malakauskas.
Maybe it's another tire that he's overheating.
Maybe he's being a little bit too aggressive. Now I would like to speak
Could
about
be a setup
this
thing as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's an open setup race, and these DPIs are really hard to be adjusted, tuned up to the liking of the driver. So you have to understand what you're doing, because these are really complicated vehicles, and maybe, well, that's the advantage of some of those drivers. So Matas Mendel is up to P6 quietly, maybe using the mistakes by the other drivers, and the previous lap time of Matas Mendelis was his personal fastest lap time, which was 1 minute 35.8 before the 1 minute 36.2. So it looks like Matas Mendelis is kind of trying to wake up and waking up towards the end of this first race, which well, it looks like we'll end up in a P6 if no dramas will happen on the racetrack, and it's not going to be the strongest race for Matas Mendelis in this season. So back to the DPIs. Leo Bryan still on the tail of Alvarez, and you can expect things like these to happen. Alvarez has the pace advantage, but maybe he's not avoiding mistakes. While you're chasing someone and you feel that you have that slight edge, it's always a little bit easier to avoid mistakes. But as soon as you get in front, the braking points change. You don't have anyone in front of you to try and direct you around the racetrack, so you have to count on your own. And if you spend a little bit too much of time running behind someone, you can lose that rhythm and start making mistakes. Look at the lap time of Linus Butula. So he's struggling to be consistent. He can be fast, he can put in really fast lap times, but, well, he's lacking the consistency which I was talking about, which is really important in races like these. Well, in any races, consistency is more important than pure speed and the fastest lap times. And, well, I was not talking about Gustav Malakauskas, that he is, well, being slow. I was just saying that the consistency plays a bigger hand to the results that we might see by the end of this race. Nice battle still happening for P3, and it looks like there's no battle for P1 for now whatsoever. 1 minute 37.6 previous lap time of Simon Speth. So maybe someone came in the way of Simon, the driver from Germany, who's currently second. He was and still is chasing down P1, but it's not playing into the hands of our German driver.
By the way, Jan Nims, half a minute in front, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We haven't given him much attention this race because he's been alone since pretty much lap 3 when he got in front of Dmitriev, and well, incredible job that he's doing. I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but because he's done that quite a few times, but half a minute in 50 minutes of racing is a lot, especially on a track like Daytona that everybody knows so well. And well, let's be honest, there's not that many places where you can gain time. He's managed to put in lap after lap of incredible pace. So good job, Jan Nims. By the way, they have completed 28 laps. He's going to go 29 this time round. So he's been gaining more than a second per lap.
Yeah, that's really brilliant stuff by Jan Nims, but well, it doesn't make me wonder. He's one of the fastest drivers on the World Sim Series platform, and one of the fastest ones there has been around. So a tough nut to crack. I just, well, he enjoys driving those GT3 cars, and I think I don't remember seeing him in DPIs maybe, or LMPs. In races like these, I think there was an LMP behind which made a mistake, and yes, indeed it was, and that's Noyu Sabas, who is still spinning around like in that song, round and round we go. Down to P9, which is still not the last position in the DPi class. We have Ryui. I'm sorry if I cannot spell that name correctly. He's 17th overall. He has completed 3 pit stops, and he's the 10th of the DPi cars at this moment. Now Isaba's 1 lap behind Howev, another driver whom we missed and never had spoken about.
So Kishoni did get, but he had 2 pit stops as well.
Yeah, so well, that helps. That still helped Kashoni to go up into P7, which is not the best position to finish a race in. Oh, what happened to Leo Bryan? What happened to
another pit stop? Because he's made 2 pit stops, so
Bryan.
maybe he had an accident somewhere. Because that puts Butvila up into P4, and he's well, he's going to be pretty happy about being back in P4. Probably the maximum he could have done today.
Well, he was running P2, don't forget, so he was doing good with those soft tires, and well, that mistake, well, it's still not, you cannot blame on that mistake only because he lost like 8 seconds in that situation, and now he's 18 seconds behind Alvarez, and he's actually 30 seconds behind Simon Spett. So that's not only that spin that cost the race for Danius Butvila while he was running second. He lost quite a lot of time somewhere else. Those mistakes, that inconsistency, you can see his previous lap time, 1 minute 35.6, which is really good. Leo Bryan, 1 minute 47.7 because he entered the pit lane. 2 pit stops. Oh, maybe it was a drive-through penalty. We have incident system live, or actually the real-time penalty app doing the job. And if you cut a corner at least 3 times during a race, I think you get a drive-through penalty. So maybe that's what happened to Leo Bryan.
Because it's difficult to say. We'll see, I guess, after the race once we get the official results. That's Lapo that has been disconnected from the servers, so maybe an incident somewhere out on track. There's not really any battles remaining. With 5 minutes to go, everything's kind of settled. So Leo Bryan, I think whatever he does, he won't really catch Butvila. Will be very difficult. Mendeles won't catch Leo Bryan, and Adam Kashoni, he's 76 seconds behind the lead. So if we calculate that, and when he came out of the pits it was 70 seconds, he's lost 6 seconds. He'd be in the battle for P2 now. So Adam Kashoni will remember this race as a race of lost opportunities. whatever the incident was in the beginning, well, that's gotta hurt if you're able to fight for P2.
But you have to take a lesson, I'm pretty sure about it. You have to take something out of this race and any races, and hopefully he will get that knowledge towards the remaining 5 races in this championship. And as Gustas already said, only 5 races count towards the overall result, so there is 1 drop round. So hopefully for Adam Casone, this is the round that's going to be dropped.
Remember, we don't know what happened to him, so we can't say that he has to learn from it.
Yeah,
maybe it was somebody who took him out.
Maybe, yeah, of course. But you still can look at that situation, maybe think things through, and that makes you think. That might make you rewind the race, look at the replays, and think through different things and what you could have made differently, maybe different choices, to try and learn something new and avoid that in the future. Even though if you were taken out by someone else, I'm pretty sure you still can learn something.
Him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not blaming him. I'm not giving him the blame. I'm just wishing him to learn something. Well, to take something good out of this race. Well, of course, finishing P7 is not bad, but still, I'm pretty sure there's still something more to grab after he'll cross that finish line.
I don't think he's going to be very happy with P7.
Well, he will not.
Want a lot more.
Of course, but he was P18 once in this race, don't forget.
Well, yeah, he was dead last. He was behind all the GT3s, so he's definitely done a good job of recovering and actually putting his head down and continuing on to push. He's done a good job of actually cutting the gap down, because, well, if you remember, he was like 40 seconds behind any cars ahead. He's now 27 seconds behind Mendeles ahead, so he's done a good job of cutting the gap down. He's done a good job of not taking any GT3s out while he's effectively out of the race in the DPi, so he doesn't have to take those risks and doesn't have to make those dangerous moves. He's done a good job. It's just that the circumstances, well, made him lose out there. Alvarez, I think he's comfortable now, really. 14 seconds to the front and 15 seconds behind. So he's kind of rolling to the finish. I don't think he's going to be happy with that. Starting on pole position, losing P1 on lap 1, and he's lost a lot of time. Maybe, at least we think, he's been involved in an incident with Kashoni, and that might just have given him some damage, maybe?
That's a possibility, of course. That's
because he was the pole sitter, so he's not slow, and the pace in the race has just not been there. He's lost out to, well, he was fighting O'Brien, who was very quiet in the race, but he was a little bit faster than O'Brien, I would say, but lost so much time to Speff. I think he might just have had something happen to him in the beginning. 1 minute to go till the end of the race, by the way. Well, yeah, so Malakauskas on the final lap of the race. He's driven a perfect race. He set the fastest lap. I think he's going to have 0 incident. No, he does have 1. That's at least what I'm seeing on the timing screen. So 1 incident, super clean, 35.3, fastest lap of the race. He started down in P2, got the lead in turn 1, and has not looked back since. I don't know what else to say. He's done a great job. He's kept the gap stable. He didn't fold under pressure when Speff put him up under pressure and tried to catch up to him. Did a great job to try and catch up to him, and he on some laps still is, but the consistency that Malakauskas has displayed today is incredible. Every time I've looked at the timing screen, it's either a 36.0, 0.1, or a 35.9 in kind of a 2/10 interval. He's been running all evening today, and he's done a fantastic job and comes out of the Le Mans chicane. Well, nothing can stop him now unless he runs out of fuel or the engine explodes, but I think he just might have enough to roll to the finish line from that point onward. He might just get those GT3s and finish off their battle, but No, he waits actually, so very gentlemanlike. He waits and lets the GT3s fight on, and it's Gustas Malakauskas taking the win in round 1 of the World Sim Series Multiclass Championship.
Simon Spets finishing second with a really nice job done. Alvarez should cross the line third, while Dainus Butvila, after a lot of struggles, a lot of misfortunes and mistakes, should bring that DPi home in P4, even though O'Brien is kind of chasing down Dainus Butvila on those final laps, but it's still not enough, and Lee O'Brien will bring that DPi in P5. Matas Mendelis should finish P6, while Kashoni should finish 7th, still racing. Jan Nims is still out on the racetrack. I believe he didn't cross the finish line, so this is our GT3 class leaders, and it might have looked too easy for Jan Nims. He has 43 seconds advantage against second place Dimitriev. Is it something how the multi-class will look like in the GT3 class?
Well, if Jan Nims continues driving here, I think, I mean, he's been quickest. He's been quickest at not only this championship, he's been quickest at pretty much everything World Sim Series related. So, he's done an incredible job. Again, I'd like to see him in the DPIs, though. I'd like to see how he can match up to those guys. That would be an interesting fight.
The same, I would say the same. Dimitriev, by the way, has already
across the line, by the way, Jan Nims, and that is confirmed as the winner of the GT3 race. Actually, incredibly, because of the big gap that they had and the leader slotting in between them, Jan Nims actually wins the race by a full lap.
Yes.
Jan Nims actually completes 35 laps, while Dimitriev completes 34 laps. So fantastic job by Jan Nims. It will be nice for him to see on the timing screen that he's won by a lap. He's actually won by, well, around 30 seconds, but still an incredible job by Jan Nims, and we can have a quick look at the results. Gustas Malakauskas takes an incredible win in the DPi class. He's done a great job there. 4.6 seconds ahead of Simon Speff. Alvarez in P3. Disappointing, I think, for him, starting from pole position. Dainus Butvila, well, he did the maximum I think he could have done today. P4 after that wrong strategy choice, taking the soft tires and having a spin. Lee O'Brien, well, he was battling for P3 and something happened where he had to make a pit stop down in P5. Matas Mendelis, quiet race for him, but finishes P6, kind of capitalizing on other people's misfortunes. Adam Kashoni in P7, comfortable. Well, after that incident in lap 1, or was it lap 2, he's just been running around, but doing a great job nonetheless. 35.4 was his fastest lap of the race, right up there with the leaders. Hoiven in P8, another driver having a very quiet race. Sabas, well, he tried to take softs twice. That's not a strategy that worked today. And Ryui finishes down in 15th overall and 10th in class, 4 laps down from the lead. The GT3s, well, it's Jan Nims taking the win by a lap on the timing screen, but it was really 30-something seconds ahead of Dimitriev. Marijuan finishes in third, 4th for Urbanas, who was battling with Marijuan, but just was not enough there at the end. He also was one of the drivers having a spin down there at turn 1. Martinez in 5th. Polonio, well, he was fighting for P2, had an incident and dropped all the way down, had to make a pit stop, but couldn't recover enough time. Hernandez in 7th, 8th for Porscherbal, 9th for Jim Tob. Lapo finishes 10th, and 11th for Bosshammer, who did get disqualified by the looks of it, completing only 8 laps in this race.
Maybe a connection issue. By the way, Casone did a really great job. He managed to finish on the same lap with 2 pit stops completed. in comparison to one pit stop of the leaders. So Adam Cascioni is really definitely one of the drivers to watch in this remaining season. He was unfortunate at the beginning of this race, so that P7 doesn't reflect what the driver is actually capable of. So yeah, hopefully for some more interesting races in the remainder of the season. We have 5 races remaining, and I think the next race will take place at Mugello circuit. So that's a different type of circuit. If my memory don't lie to me, but I think it was Mugello.
Completely different type of circuit, definitely.
And there's a lot of corners, mid-speed to high speed, one long straight, and the multi-class racing should be really exciting over there. So, well, in 2 weeks' time, we will meet again. And we'll
meet again in 1 week's time, because we've still got that Ring Freaks Championship. The drivers battling for prizes of driving real cars on the Nordschleife. That's coming next week, again on Thursday at 9 o'clock Lithuanian time, 8 o'clock Central European time, 7 o'clock if you're in the UK, and 6 o'clock for all of those of you counting from GMT. I think we're a little bit tired, so that's where we're going to end it. It's been an exciting race, a lot of strategic battles. Let's see what this series brings us in 2 weeks' time. Have a good night.
Yeah, bye.